Staying on mental health in the athlete, in the athletics. Tell me this though, you doing that, Isaiah, but you have a couple bad performances. What about the confidence? What do we do?
So I would just say, God, He always, tests you before He bless you. So if you can get through the rocky parts, and the sun always comes out after the rain. So you might have 3 or 4 bad games, but it's a learning experience. So it is different from high school. You got bigger, stronger, faster guards, and you got taller people. You got 7-foot centers and 6'10" wings. Guarding.
Right.
So it just you just can't get down. You just gotta you miss all the shots you don't take. So you just gotta leave the past in the past and just look forward to the next one.
Right. I'm glad you said that. And you're right. It is. I mean, one of those things we talk about. Tell me this when we switch over, and this is what you're here for. Like I said before, we talked about definitely your career. We talked about those things, but there is a business side to sports, and this is what we're doing here. And that's why I said, tell me a little bit about the sports management careers, different things like that. And I know with scouting and recruiting, that's what you're here doing. I mean, for those things in marketing and branding. Tell me a little bit about that.
So all those things are major too. Just with the business aspect part of it. Just the whole coaching carousel and just the basketball world. So it's just like I tell you a funny story. Whenever I was a sophomore in JUCO, a D1 coach was recruiting me. He called a high school coach that I played in high school from Charleston to ask about me. How was his character? How was he on the court? How was his body language? How was his talent? So he didn't even call my actual high school coach. He called a high school coach that I played against. So it's just crazy that you were saying, just staying having a good reputation, because you never know who they're going to call. They might call, someone in your neighborhood, one of your neighbors. Like college coaches, they just want to get the whole rundown. So it's just, you got to know how to maneuver. You got to be a good person. You got to have good character, have a good attitude. You never know who's watching or who's around.
We just had a show where we talked about an interview, and it was interview skills, and it was one of those where I had been incarcerated. I'm just saying, the scenario was I've been incarcerated. What do I tell them about this gap in between, right? Tell me about a player that has had some hiccups in their past. How do they move forward when they come in and present themselves to a college per se?
So I would just say, just showing them that you're making improvement, that you're leaving the past in the past, that you might have made a mistake, but you learned from your mistake, and that mistake made you stronger and it made you more wiser, things of that nature. So, I would just say, just, being honest with them about the situation, tell them that, I made a mistake. I learned from it, and now I'm moving on from it, and I'm stronger because of that mistake. That maybe if I didn't make that mistake, I would get all the way to the top of the mountain, and then I wouldn't know how the bottom feels because I never made a mistake. So I would just say, you just learning and bouncing back from a mistake, and you just not living on it or just being down on it, just you bouncing back from it.
Just you sitting here, man. I got 1,000 questions, but I'm trying to channel, because you just never get to sit down. Right? Look, number one, we see college athletes all the time, but to sit down with them and get the ins and out. But this is your job to do now, and it's like that's got to be a great feeling. To have that. So before we stop, tell me this: today's athlete, what do they need most? Tell me a little bit about that.
So an athlete, they just need to have the right mindset, strong mindset, the right attitude. You got to have the right crowd and the right environment around you. You got to be able to, take a chance on yourself. You got to believe in yourself before anybody else can believe in yourself. So I would just say, reps remove doubt. So just staying in the gym, staying down, staying in the weight room, because that builds confidence. Because if you're not in the gym in the summer, and then when the prime time comes, you ain't working, then the work is going to show. It's going to show.
Right.
So I would just say, just staying down with the right mindset, the right work ethic, the right attitude, just the right environment, things of that nature, and just always staying humble, because you never know when your time is going to come.
Now, real quick, there were some questions I had with that. Listen, the way you answered it, listen to this. Discipline was the first one. You covered that. Accountability was the next one. Consistency was another one. Also resilience and also faith. You covered all those. So that's the thing. Sometimes I feel that, positions can be created for you, or positions can be made for you, right? Which one is it for you? The position that you're in now.
I just feel like with my basketball journey and everything I went through, I just feel like God, he led me to this place for the right reason. You know, I just feel like this is my true calling, you know, because experience is the best teacher, you know. I went to 7 different schools, you know, I've been in college in New Mexico, you know, Oklahoma, Kentucky, went to prep school in Tennessee. So just being able to be in all these different environments and learning different things, I can now help the younger generation because I've been there and I've been through it. So I just feel like that's my calling, just, you know, to help the next generation, you know, achieve their dreams and continue playing.
Right, and I think that's a good thing. I mean, I think, you know, because we need to hear that, right? I mean, and we're in a day and age now where it's like, and you know how it is. This is more about, man, I'm not attacking rap, but it's more about, reality type things.
Sure.
Not so much just what you're speaking about, you know what I mean? Like real rap and stuff like that. I'm not getting on it, but I'm just saying living it more than anything, you know, and that's the thing. I believe that you can, you know, what you're doing, you can, you know, definitely help others through your experience. You don't have to get in depth, but still to know, hey, I went down this road, I went down that road. Same thing I do as far as that, but definitely you're younger than me, so they're gonna listen to you. They're gonna resonate with you. I mean, look, I don't have any here. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That type of thing.
Yeah,
I mean, and which that was a thing in the past about how to, man. I don't just come out there ready to roll. That's what I say. But I get it in a job world though. You know, having your hair neat or whatever it may be. When neat to me is just edge stuff. It ain't got to do with the top of it. But those are just some of the things that I know that your dad instilled in you, right? And those are the things I think, when you see, children grow up and then they, like I said, they might stump their toe or whoever, just like I say with her as well. I only bring it up sometimes with her, not to shun her or nothing like that. You can rise up from these things, right? You can go on and go further because there's somebody out there who feel that they can't now because they've made a mistake or whatever. But no, that's a lie. That's not true. You know what I mean? And you're living proof of it just the same. And what I mean by yours, 7 different schools, that's a lot of confidence. I mean, I'm just saying, that's a lot of, sometimes that's hard, I mean, we hear about, but what we don't understand is these NBA players, a lot of them went to a whole bunch of schools when they were in high school and in college as well. I mean, really. So it's like in that determination. Tell me a little bit before we quit, a little bit about your pro experience. Tell me a little bit about it.
So, I played in the ABA Next Level League. We played some teams from like Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, DC, Fredericksburg, Virginia, and stuff like that. So it was a good learning experience, stuff like that. Good talent, former D1 guys, former overseas guys. I had a pretty good season. I had some overseas opportunities and contracts that I could have went and played, but I just feel like God led me to this calling with blue chips, helping the younger generation. So I'm more at peace at that, So
you said you had some success. I see you had averaged like a whole bunch of points, right? But you said you was going against D1 athletes. But that's the thing. It's a lot of basketballs is in here, right or wrong, no matter what. I mean, that goes back, which I know. I mean, I guess your area was last, but you know a little bit about street ball, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, I don't know how much y'all play, you know what I mean? Sure. But they don't play at all. But you know what I mean? But that's the thing. I mean, that's where you get it at. You know what I mean? Sure. Let's get it right. I mean, you get it. I mean, you have to, or you gonna sit down. You gonna sit down. Sure. It's 100 people up there. Sure. You gotta mean. But that's where you learn that grit, that grind. You know what I mean? Like you said, well, shoot, we all 3 out there. Who can shoot the best? He can. So they let him do that. We go in and grind. That's where we learn it. Absolutely. We're not doing that a lot anymore. We're not doing it like 32, 21. You know what I mean? Remember the bucket. Like you can't just sit around and chill out. Yeah. You're gonna sit down if you don't get to put. I believe just having that grittiness and like everybody. Like I said, everybody ain't like that, but a lot of people are, and that's one of the things that I see. It was one. I was gonna tell you this before we got off here. I've been officiating for years, and so I've seen a lot of basketball. I've seen a lot of basketball plays, but sometimes the human in you come out in it, and it was him. One time, I'll never forget. He was a great Beckley, man. I think they were playing St. Albans. It was a preseason game, and man, I remember, and I couldn't believe it because I knew he could jump, but I just didn't think he would do that. I didn't think. I mean, he dunked on his kid, hard, and never made it really an expression. But that's what I said. I said, goodness gracious. I mean, but you don't hardly ever see, things around here. You don't always see that. You know what I mean? Really. But this is the talent that you had. you harnessed it, to a pro career. I think that's a great thing. I think, a lot of times, people always, but I'm not, this ain't this show here, what we talk about, it ain't focusing on none of that stuff. We focus on the positive things, right? And then showing people come up, right? And that's what I said. So that's why I said having you on here, super excited, but it always shows, like I said, sometimes your upbringing, right? Sometimes your upbringing, sometimes we say we only focus on the negative ones sometimes, but we can focus on those positive ones. It's more positive, negative anyway, right? And the offspring, like I said, once we bump our head, me included, then you can come around and say, shoot, I got to save landing spot because somebody made it for me. And I think that's a great thing as well. I want to thank you. And so tell me a little bit about your event before you go.
Oh, so yes, next weekend, June 13th, Morgantown, West Virginia, at Milan Park, we'll have 15 high school teams from all over West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio. We got 15 college coaches coming. We got multiple sports and media outlets coming. So it's going to be a good event for high school kids, to get recruited, get the spotlight, and the recognition that they deserve, to try to get to the next level.
And please, let us know, let the area know when you're having some more of these things, because I think it's one of those things where you know how it is. Unless you hear, because we hear a lot of things, but then we don't hear about the important things that we need to hear about. Stay locked in with us. Like I said, we do support you. Like I said, I do want to talk to you off air. I do believe we're missing out with the girls, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I do believe in a big way. In a big way, I really do believe that. I know the boys, getting it, but I think there's some great girls around here too, and also some infrastructure that need to be made on the lower level in order to get them to build them up as well. So we'll talk about that as well. I want to thank everybody for listening in on the Collective Konversations. Like I said before, it's been super great. We do have an event coming up, TSK Pathways Prevention to Literacy in Life, and that's coming up on June the 20th. It'll be over at 100 Washington Avenue, and it'll be a cookout, hot dog and barbecue cookout. We'll be rolling out our new program where we, recently was, awarded a $50,000 grant for opioid prevention. So I want to thank, the city of Beckley for that. And I want, we just want to, try to do a lot of good things around here in the area. Like I said, for people like Danya, Isaiah, we got a good future coming up. So, we just got to show them that, we have to give back and serve. It's one of the things we have to do. So I want to thank you all. Like I said, we mentioned June 20th again at 12 to 2. It'll be 12 to 2 over at the East Park Multicultural Center. Thank you.